Hey everybody, welcome to today's video. So today I'm going to be sharing with you how I like to keep my finances budget. Some people use apps. For me, I like to use an Excel spreadsheet. So I hope you get a lot of value from this video. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave it in the comment section down below, or you can join my Discord chat community where I post a lot of the behind the scenes, some stuff that I don't post on a day-to-day basis. There's a lot of people that add a lot of value to each other. I share with you how much money I make on both of my YouTube channels, as well as I share with you behind the scenes exactly what I own in the stock market. So I highly recommend you can ask me Navy stuff or we can chit chat about money. Link down in the description to my Discord community link. Right. So I'm sure there's two types of people when it comes to Excel. You have no clue what you're doing, or you have some knowledge enough to understand, or you have a thorough comprehensive knowledge where you can make pie graphs and all that kind of stuff, crazy stuff. For the sake of the first video, I'm going to be talking as if this is your first time, you're interested in setting up a budget, and you're also interested in setting up a budget using Excel, right? So the my setup, as colorful as it is, it's very simple, nothing complicated at all. I've been budgeting like this since 2010, 2011, since I had my first job working at a book binding factory. Back then, it was very simple. It was just income and expense. But over time, it's been tailored to me the way that you're seeing it right now. And I highly recommend, for those of you who are just starting out, if you are interested, you can copy exactly the same format that I have here. You can just take out some of the stuff that doesn't apply to you, right? If you're not in the Navy, you don't have to have a Navy tab. If you don't make a YouTube channel, you can take out the Google tab. If you Uber instead, you could put an Uber category here. Also, you might have Robinhood and you might not have Merrill Edge, and so you can take that section out. So going over with you, right? It's a month of September, right, which encompasses the whole section, and within it, there's the transaction section here. Transaction section, basically how that transcribed the transaction ledger. I have a Bank of America account, right, with banking system. So I open up my Bank of America website. I click on each category, my checkings account, savings account, my credit card one, credit card two, look at all the transaction, and I transcribe everything uh, here, and then I feed everything to the whole system with all the different formulas that it's involved. So with the date, right, I like to keep it on the day that it happened, not the day that the transaction settled. For example, let's say today is October 2nd. If I buy something today on October 2nd, it might settle in 2 days, right? So the transaction, when you go to my bank account, it might show up as 4th of October, right? And I don't update this on a daily basis. I like to update this, every 3 to 4 days, just enough that, it's not too crazy because when there's a lot, there's a lot of things that could go wrong. Numbers could be off, and sometimes it just frustrates you to no end when you're off by like a couple cents to a couple dollars, and you can't figure out where that difference is coming from because you haven't updated in such a long time. You want to avoid that, and so if you are just starting, I recommend you just have a starting point, right? As you can see here, I have a starting checking balance, starting savings balance. Like I said, I've been doing this since 2011, but 2019 I was on deployment, and 2020 I finished deployment, and I just wasn't motivated to budget and keep an Excel spreadsheet like this. But since I came to my shore command, I knew I was going to be spending a lot of money. I bought a brand new car. I bought a $5,000 course, an investing course. And so, I'm buying furniture. I'm spending a lot of money. So I wanted to make sure financially, I want to have a bird's eye view where I know my money makes sense, where I know that I'm not, actually losing money, but I'm overall making money, right? So I wanted to keep a Excel spreadsheet and redo it again so I have a sound of mind, right? So I didn't want to go back all the way to January to start the whole transactions again. you know, if you're interested, just start from where you are right now, right? So as you can see, the first one is September, uh, 14th of September. The info is starting checking accounts, right? Info is just brief description of what your transaction was about, just so you can recall it. At the same time, it helps you understand, making sure there's no erroneous, fraudulent charges that goes through your account. And also category, right? You know, where it belongs to. So this belongs to the checking account category. And there's also the income. Income and checking are the same, but I separated here for me to see how much money that I'm making, as well as separate how much money that I'm spending, right? And credit and debit. So one thing that you have to understand when it comes to budgeting, when it comes to finances, when it comes to keeping an Excel spreadsheet like this, whenever you spend money, that money goes somewhere else, right? Whenever you make money, right, that money just didn't appear from thin air. It was taken from somewhere else, right? Everything is always credit and debit. When that money, the money is always flowing, right? It just doesn't appear. It just doesn't disappear. It always goes somewhere. So that's the importance of just trying to understand credit and debit here. Also the amount. So like I said, I transcribe everything from my online Bank of America account, put everything on the day that it happened, and then from here I feed everything. So the first box that you see is my income tab, right? So depending on the month, and also the bank that you have, you can be either paid only once a month from the Navy, from the military, if you're in the military, right? In the military, we get paid on the 1st and the 15th, right? So depending on the month, you might only be paid once, sometimes just normally twice, or sometimes 3 times. What do I mean? So for the month of September, right, I was paid on the 1st and on the 15th, right? My bank, Bank of America, pays on the day, right? If you have, most people get Navy Federal when they join the Navy. Navy Federal will pay you a day in advance, right? So instead of the 15th, you'll get paid on the 14th. Instead of the 1st, you'll be paid on the 31st of August, right? So depending on your bank, depending on when the days fall, right? So my bank doesn't pay on the weekends. They pay the closest weekday, the previous weekday, right? So, for example, the month of October here, this month, I was paid yesterday on the 1st. I'll be paid again on the 15th, 2 weeks from now, right? At the same time, November 1st falls on a Sunday, right? So I'll be paid on the Friday. So I'll be paid 3 times for the month of October. But for the month of November, I'll only be paid once. The 15th falls on the Sunday at the 13th, because on December it falls on the 1st. And so I'll only be paid once on November, but 3 times in October, right? So that's kind of how it works, and that's why there's 3 transactions here. And the Navy pay total. So this is one thing that I want you to understand. It might seem it's hard to understand at first, how it all plays out and how you utilize it. But if you want more in-depth detail about all the functions of Excel spreadsheet, I highly recommend you check out other YouTube videos. But the thing, everything that you're seeing here is it's not complicated. It's very simple. You just have to take the time to understand, exactly what I'm doing, the way I set it up. And like I said, once you understand it, tailor it to yourself, and it'll just be amazing. So the formula to add up all the different cells, right? A cell is this individual box is a cell, right? So within column indigo, right, I, so you can use the military phonetic alphabet to practice, right? Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Fox, Foxtrot, Golf, Hotel, Indigo, Juliet, Kilo, Lima, and it goes on. Within Indigo, row 4, Indigo 4, if you want to add up all of these three cells here, Indigo 4, Indigo 5, Indigo 6, right? The formula to that looks equals sum. It can be lowercase too. It doesn't have to be uppercase. Open parentheses, hold down Control, and then click the individual cells. Oh, I clicked the cell twice by accident and closed it. And then there's always a comma in between when these things arrive when you click it. So I kind of misclicked there. Let me make it a little bit more pretty. Open parentheses, press down Control, click the first box, second box, and third box, and then close parentheses, right? And then it will add everything within these three cells. So let's say, I put in another $1,000 and then another $2,000, it automatically updates. And so you don't have to do the work. You don't have to add it consistently. You just did it once and you just keep adding and over throughout the month, and that's how it works. Or let's say you have a lot of transactions. For example, my credit card payments here, there's 10 different rows per the category. So within my credit card, obviously, I'm going to be using credit card many times for different things that I buy throughout the month. So I put 30 different transactions here. For income, I'm not going to make, the Navy's not going to pay me like, once every week. So, I have it like this. I have my Google Pay, would they only pay on the 21st? And also any other payments that I might get. So for example, let's say I just decided to become an Uber driver. I could put that Uber transaction here and a debit to, let's say, $50, or let's say I started DoorDash and delivered food, and then I made $100. It automatically adds up everything when you use the colon method of adding. So let me explain the colon method of adding, right? Like as going back to the credit card transaction, the way this looks is Indigo 17, there's a colon in between, and then Indigo 26, right? I-17, adding everything all the way to I-26. So how do you make this formula? Equals sum, open parentheses, press Control on the first row, and then press Shift, semicolon, and then it will mirror the first one, backspace, or you could backspace and type it to the exact cell. Press down Control again, and you go to how far you want to go down. In this case, we want to go down all 10 cells, and then you close parentheses and press Enter, and they'll add everything within it, right? So how my total income is set up is I click the individual Indigo 17, comma, Indigo 9, colon, Indigo 13, right? Basically, I didn't want to do from all the way from top to bottom, because then I'll be duplicating some of the transaction. I'll be duplicating all my Navy pay, and I won't be able to see how much money that the Navy paid me alone, right? I separated like this just to see how much the Navy specifically paid me alone compared to Google, right? And then also at the end of the year, I like to add it up all together and see how much Navy specifically paid me and how much Google specifically paid me, right? That's why I have it separate. And so that's why I have it set up the way I do here. So that is the income and the formula situation. My checking account. So as you can see, a transaction, how it would look. Let's say I was starting out here, September 14th, starting checking, checking balance, checking debit, $9,479.55. And then you go over here and you input that transaction, 14th of September, starting checking balance, debit, which is a positive $9,479.55, right? And I like to use my checking account, this column, strictly for everything that I pay within my checking. The first transaction is just an outlier because that's the starting balance. So clean slate credit card 1, clean slate credit card 2, basically just paying off my credit card in the beginning, so I don't have to fill out all the transactions I did up to that point. But after that point, I've been keeping up with all my transactions. And as you can see, in here, I use my debit card for my Walmart and my grocery pay. Normally, I like to use anything that I possibly can. I like to use my credit cards. But in this case, like I said, I came to my short command. I've been spending a lot of money. I spent $5,000. I put a down payment on a brand new Toyota RAV4 2020. And also the month before on my second credit card, I spent $5,000 on an investment course. So I don't want to max out my credit card. And so I started using my checking account. Normally, like I said, I don't like to. I like to use my cashback rewards credit card and premium rewards points credit card to build up, credit and points and money back. So that's the checking use. Money to Merrill Edge. Typically, every single month, every single paycheck, I like to send money to my Merrill Edge account to continue building and purchasing stocks or having a high cash balance. But like I said, I'm trying to settle down in my short command. I've been spending a lot of money, so I haven't been sending any money to that way. I've actually been taking a lot of money out to maintain a high checking balance because at the same time, I'm saving my money up to purchase a house in Pennsylvania. And I want to have my checking account and my savings account looking somewhat pretty for the loan officers. And so money to savings account. So this is a starting balance, and 13 cents is courtesy of my bank. Within like 4 months, they paid me interest on the $2,500, which is basically nothing. Then it's the overview, which I'll be going over with you towards the end. It summarizes everything, all the different transactions, all the different pays. Some of the formulas, the equations look a little bit complicated. It's not, but I'm going to be explaining that to you towards the end. And the the middle here is cashback rewards credit card one. Like I said, every single transaction that goes in it, I put it in. So for example, this target pay here on the 18th should read exactly like it is on the transaction ledger. So let's find the date, the 18th. Here it is, 18th September, target, credit card one, credit, which is, and whenever you put a negative balance, right, you put that negative sign first, negative 5.68, 5,068 cents. So all that adds together, and I showed you how to add all those cells. So as you can see, the big difference is whenever there's a parentheses and there's a number in between, it indicates that it's a negative, right? It's being money being taken out. Whereas in a debit, right, there is no parentheses around it because that's a positive balance. So that's one thing that you have to understand in terms of accounting. Anything, negative, anything that money you owe or a bad balance, there's always a parentheses around it. So over here, it's a debit because I used my cashback rewards program to pay off some of my credit card, $118.95, as well as my bank paid me $50 in a coronavirus relief package. So that was nice of them. So that's credit card one transactions here. And as you can see, I put 30 transactions. It also kind of limits myself to 30 transactions per credit card. I never really go all the way to the end, but you never know depending on it. Let's say if I'm on vacation or something. Towards the right here is paying off credit cards. So this section, I have it to simplify my transaction process of when I of the overview. It's hard for me to explain. This is the part where it might get a little bit confusing, but I needed this section to really have a separate section where I can figure out my remaining credit card balance. How much did I use for my credit card in general? Also, how much money I have remaining in my credit card balance, right, between both of my credit cards. Second credit card, as you can see, third transactions. Only used, 4. Got a desk recently, a nice desk. It's very nice. And the last one here that you see is recurring payments. This is not equated into the overall overview equation at all. It's just like a reminder of, when all the stuff are due. So next month, in October, which is this month, on the first, the way I have mine set up is I have it automatically being taken out of my checking account, $400 for my car payment. Unfortunately, I couldn't set it up to my credit card payment because the way financing works for a brand new vehicle with Toyota, it has to come directly from a debit, a checking account. Room rent. I'm renting a room right now, paying $700 a month. Utilities, depending on the month, depending on how much water and everything all the roommates use, it could fluctuate. So on average, I put it at a top estimate of $100. And on the 12th, I'm paying Geico using my second credit card. It automatically is going to be taken out $111.15. So the overview, right? Putting my screen to the left. The overview, the current checking balance uh, reads Uniform 7 and Uniform 8, right? So when I click these, you can see it's total income plus the total checking, how much I have in my checking account, right? Because all the transaction, the negative transaction is taken away. So on a normal circumstance, um, your checking use would normally be negative, right? The only reason that it's positive is because I had this erroneous transaction here placed in as a starting point, right? So for example, for the month of October here, like I said, when you pay off, your credit card and all these different transactions, normally it would be a negative balance, right? So how much money that you use within your checking account plus how much money you make, right? But in this case, I already have a starting balance, and this is where it all subtracted from the starting balance. So that's a little bit of something that you would normally see, but for the first month, when you first start this budget, that's how it's going to look. So the current checking balance, that's exactly how it's set up. Navy pay, how much the Navy has paid me, $1,900 so far, which is Indigo 7, which is this cell right here. Google Pay, $169.13. At the end of the year, I like to take all these different cells from different months and add it all up together. That's why I have it separate like that. Total income, $2,000. As you can see, it comes from this specific cell, Indigo 14. As you can see, it's highlighted when I click this. It's in blue. Checking use, Mike 14. Adding all these up together. Credit card 1, remaining balance, right? Keyword is remaining balance. As you can see in this within the parentheses, Indigo 27 plus, Indigo Mike 27 plus, Quebec 27 is the addition of all these three transactions, right? One thing that you want to keep in mind is you want to make sure within math, right, within algebra, you have to keep in mind that it's a negative number plus a negative number plus a negative number. If you have, negative number minus negative number, it then becomes an addition, right? You have to keep in mind the stuff that you learned from school. It comes in handy here. So for example, like if I put a negative here, the whole equation changes drastically. Even if I put like a positive balance, even if I put like a negative balance here, like I said, play around with it. Make sure you understand it. You'll understand what I'm talking about once you actually start doing this. You have to make sure you keep your positives and negatives, your equation, you have to keep that in mind. Okay, so it's all the credit card uses, right? Plus how much I am paying off my credit card is the transaction that you're seeing here, the Uniform 21, right? So how this reads, right? I paid my clean slate. It originates from my checking account. I'm paying off my credit card. It's going to this category here, right? This is the category that I have separate to make the overview simple, right? Because it's hard for me to individually, unless I create a category like this I did here with Navy and Google, unless I separate create specific categories within the checking use, it's hard for me to separate all the transactions. So I have a whole another column here. I got distracted because of the different beeps because people are coming in and out of the house. And the Uniform 21 is the total credit card 1 payment, right, which is $5,400. And when you add up the negatives plus the positive, I still owe round up $300 on my remaining credit card balance as of the end of the month of September 30th. Second credit card 2 remaining balance, $189. Like I said, the transaction reads, the equation reads Indigo 40, Mike 40, Quebec 40, plus Uniform 26, which is, how much I paid here. And also this equation, Uniform 18, colon, Uniform 20, or, like I said, you can individually click the boxes. And it's also good to see how much specifically credit card payments I made, which is 5,590. So basically shows I spent $5,590 for that month in terms of credit card payments, right? And money to Merrill Edge, if I was to put money to Merrill Edge, I'll give you an example here, do a quick example. Turning off my cell phone, my mom was calling me. So 30th September 20, let's say I made a transaction sending money to my Merrill Edge account, right? It would originate from my checking account, right? Money, oh, here's, I actually made a video previous to this, but I had to delete it. And here it is, right? I create this transaction, money to Merrill, starts in my checking account, credit it, $100, right? Taking money out. Also, then I put another transaction here, money to Merrill, and I would be putting it into MTM, which is the money to Merrill section, debit it, because when there's a credit, there's a debit somewhere, credit $100. So it would go here. This is how it would look. Money to Merrill, credit, minus 100, right? And there's parentheses, and then it automatically gets updated. And then you fill out the rest here. Excuse me. Debit, and then $100. And it automatically gets updated, all input into the formula. This is actually off-centered, which drives me crazy. This should be centered. Yeah. All right. So that's how it would look. Deleting it. Okay. All right. And the last is savings. As is automatically done. And 13 cents. Now we go over to the next month, which is the current month, which is today, October. Today is October 2nd. The only thing that you need to do from a month-to-month base is update the previous remaining balance of the month, right? So as you can see, is equals sum September Uniform 4, which is the previous remaining balance here, Uniform 4, plus comma Uniform 7, which is the checking, which is the total income, close parentheses, plus Uniform 8, which is the checking use. So depending from the month to month, right? Let's say I finish out October, right? What I would do is I would copy and then go to the next month and then press paste, make sure, all the different categories are still good. And just, you would simply just delete it. And this one, the formula is already updated in there, right? And then all you have to do is you go to the previous month. So this is the month of November now, despite what it says October in the month, it's November tab. You would just go, click it, press enter, and it automatically gets updated. So, within the month of November, like we discussed, you're only going to be paid once, right? Yeah, once on the 13th, right? So on the 13th, you'll be paid, let's say, I don't know, I'll be paid $5,000, for example. It automatically gets updated. So that's how you would, when you're transferring from month to month, right? The thing that you need to keep in mind is the carryover balance. So there should be carryover balance for my credit cards, credit card 1, credit card 2, right? So you're adding the previous month's credit card balance. So as you can see, my transaction reads equals sum September uniform 9, which is September's cell in this exact same cell block, plus all the different cells, and then close parentheses plus uniform 21, which is the total credit card payments that I make. So in this case, I didn't spend anything in my credit card one since the previous month. So it's basically 297.40 plus $300. So let's say if I buy something today, obviously it's going to be different. It's going to be a negative. It's going to turn to a negative balance, which means I owe money. Right now, I don't owe money. Technically, the bank owes me $2.60. I have that going for me. So let's say I spend $100 on something, negative $100, right? It's going to go automatically update to that. Total credit card use. You don't have to carry over anything because all it's doing is adding everything up for the month. Why is there? Oh, okay. It's because I spent on that. Credit card 1, credit card 2 remaining balance is positive $48.13 because I paid off my credit card today. As you can see, this is how much the Navy paid me yesterday. Toyota payments, utility payments, which came out to be $61, and also paying off my credit card 1, credit card 2 transactions. So it originates here. Oh, well, originates from the transaction ledger, transfers over here, and then it goes to here to simplify the process. Also, I sent $1,000 to Merrill Edge, which is here. Then it goes to here, and then you can see it on the overview here. And basically that's it, guys. Like it looks a little bit complicated at first if you don't understand it, but try it out. Try a very simple setup. The way I have it set up, it seems very complicated because it's color coordinated, but it's super simple, guys. Once you try it out, test it out, understand it, it gets super simple. And this is how I like to see, how I like to keep my budget. It's a very good bird's eye view. I can keep track of how much money that I'm making, from what source, how much I owe, how much I have remaining balance, how much I'm using my credit card for that month. To me, this is the simplest way that I found it. So this works for me. If you have any questions, like I said, you can go to my Discord community and ask me anything. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.